this June 1st meeting of the Blackstone-Millville Regional School Committee to order. Please stand for the for the Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah, let's sing. Singing. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Introduction of members.
Tammy Lemieux, Blackstone, sorry. Wendy Greenstein, Blackstone. Tara Larkin, Millville.
Erin Vanaco, Millville.
Jane Reggio, Millville.
Jack Eve, Blackstone.
Karen Vernon, Millville.
Dave Thompson, Assistant Superintendent.
Alan Himmelberger, Superintendent.
Thank you. Welcome. We'll start with a first public forum and invite Casey if he'd like to come up and with Mr. Cameron speak about a new and exciting idea. Oh.
Ooh. Ooh, props.
Ooh.
Make a butt.
Here you go. We're right here. Good evening. Thank you for having us. I would like to introduce the Hartnett Middle School student entrepreneur, Casey Goyette.
Hi.
So if you recall, in our school improvement plan for this past year, we added an opportunity for students to have a voice in that plan. And all ELA classes had an opportunity for all students in the building to draft an idea that they thought that would improve the school. And fast forward to this moment, we want to present to you, thanks to the kindness and support of the Hartnett PTO, a makerspace that we're looking to bring online. We're very fortunate to have worked with Jesse as well in creating a virtual reality presentation that's going to be made to our incoming 5th graders and our incoming 5th grade parents on June 12th. Casey's just going to demonstrate this presentation. So what Casey is experiencing right now is he is virtually placed in this computer annex over here that is going to be remade into a makerspace. The first contribution to this makerspace, again, thanks to the Hartnett Middle School PTO, is not only this 3D printer, but we have 2 others in the building as well. So they will be in that makerspace along with other items that I'm just going to ask Casey to share with us aloud. So in a loud voice, what do you share in there?
We have a touchscreen HD TV. We have some art easels, sewing machines, whiteboard, audio editing software, and then the 3D printers.
That is really cool.
Now, some of what he just mentioned aren't necessarily here in this building just yet. They are things that we're looking to purchase. But one of the things that we learned, because this was a project that started about 6 months ago, Casey has had his own office for the past 6 months. And one of the things that we learned in visiting other schools that have makerspaces, Casey and I together went to Melrose Middle School with his father and his younger brother as well. We just had a group that went to the Boston Public Library to visit their makerspace as well. What's interesting and the learning that I think we both came together on is, yeah, the makerspace has the 21st century technology of your 3D printer, but it really is supposed to be a space for those students who aren't so tech savvy. Those students from like 1986 could come in and create on their own as well. And the sewing machines, the art products, all of those things are supposed to be a part of the space itself. The rollout plan, along with kind of redesigning this whole area, is where I step in. And I have received approval from the superintendent of schools and from the assistant principal in this building. This project of bringing this space online and supporting the teachers in this tech integration and this higher level learning, because Bloom's taxonomy now asks for students to learn at a very high level of creating on their own. This project is tied to my dissertation at Northeastern University. So I've received, again, permission from the superintendent of schools to come back a few times next year to support the middle school teachers in the rollout of this area in this room and the professional development that we already have connected with through the vendor. The vendor is, do you remember? We just talked about this.
I know.
Gary from Hub Tech.
Hub, yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So the vendor is a company called Hub Tech that also comes out. They're going to be doing a live demonstration of this 3D printer during the 5th grade parent night on June 12th as well. So not only will parents and students get a sense of this space virtually, there will be a live demonstration of an artifact being printed on the 3D printer, one of our 3D printers. Because I have to be honest, I'm not quite there yet. Casey's not quite there yet. He doesn't, I don't think, have a 3D printer in his bedroom. So that support from Hub Tech, and again, with the permission of the superintendent, me coming back a couple times next year to the middle school faculty meetings, maybe for a professional development day, I think is key. And I think that's what the teachers in the building would share with you as well. It's nice to have an area, but I have to tell you, 7 years ago, I wrote a grant for a 3D movie theater that kind of just sat there for a couple of years. So I learned from that, and I realized the importance of promoting an area, but also allowing teachers access to how to use an area to enhance their own curriculum and the student learning. Any questions from us about the makerspace?
Are you, as you purchase products like sewing machines, or are you looking to purchase them? Would you take donations for them?
Yep, both. So we just received a donation from my wife's company of virtual reality glasses and not Kindles, but Amazon Fire. Yeah, Amazon Fire, is that what they're called?
Tablets,
Sewing machines, I've already had a parent share with me that she's willing to donate to the school. And I believe next year's PTO has a willingness to continue helping fund this room in this area as well.
I gotta tell you, I do have a 3D printer in my bedroom.
You do?
And they are really cool. So
Wow.
I like the idea.
Casey will be over to check it out.
Well, maybe you can come in for the professional development for our teachers.
Gladly.
We actually have one presentation, if that's all the questions, because again, the kindness of the PTO has not gone ignored in this building. The teachers, the parents, the community, through the award that was received by our PTO. But this year's PTO really had a focus on enhancing this type of movement, not just in this building, but beyond. So at this time, on behalf of the Hartnett Middle School PTO and its president, Sue Chase, we would actually like to donate this 3D printer to Mr. Dudak in the high school. So we will have 2 here at the middle school. Technically, yeah, 2 here at the middle school, and 1 will be up at the high school as well. So, Mr. Dudak, this very heavy box is yours.
Do not drop it.
my bedroom. I will take this.
This is public record.
That's great. I think that's.
Well done.
Any questions for us?
No. Is there a connection that's going to lead to the middle school through this?
To the high school.
To the high school? Sorry.
So that professional development, the offer will be made to Mr. Dudak for the invite. I think he has already targeted a couple of adults. He knew that this presentation was good. So those adults will be present and have an opportunity to be a part of that professional development as well.
Okay, so it's the hope that the program that you're starting here will be followed through?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
And I have to say, that's what's so, in my, just a quick opinion of the program at Northeastern, the doctorate program. Their focus is really, the dissertation has to be a project that, really puts forth positive change in not just your school, but district-wide as well. And it has to be deeply embedded in the organization so that when I leave, that a space like this will continue. And the teachers, again, will, they won't necessarily need to seek me out. And same thing with Mr. Dudak. That would be the goal, to have teacher leaders up there as well. While we have you, and this will take under 30 seconds, I just want to share as well that Casey has just started on his Eagle Scout project, if you can imagine. I have never in my life, heard of a middle schooler doing an Eagle Scout project. Dr. Thompson has assured me that it has happened. But that's just remarkable. His project is focused again on this middle school. We have presented to Mr. Himmelberger an idea of just building a deck that is pretty much just ground level, a small deck coming out of the middle school cafeteria just for a small kind of outdoor eating space that he's looking to build. The piece that we're kind of stuck on before we go back to Mr. Himmelberger for permission to pull permits is we are looking for what is called a contractor's
Construction supervisor license.
yes, what he said. So we need somebody with a license who is a contractor that will oversee this project.
I
See a
believe I
hand
know
being
a
raised
contractor
down
with a
there.
license.
Well, see, I told you. We just had to make it public. Okay, so we might be whispering during the next presentation, so please allow us to do such.
So I just want to thank you to Casey and also to his family, because I know that they have done a fantastic job creating some new ideas in the district. So thank you, Casey. And Tara.
I just want to know how much longer does he get to keep his office?
I just want to borrow the glasses.
20 days.
20 days.
Only till the end of the year. So.
And
We're both packing,
And then he's
sadly.
going to-
And then what, Casey?
And then I'm going to be going to BVT, actually, is where I've decided to go. So,
Good luck to you.
thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the HeartNet PTO,
Yes.
which is you. I know, well, but I wanted to get it out there. Includes you, part of it.
And you.
Which is you, yeah.
This is how we leave our mark. That's a great. Any other public forum? Move to consent agenda A, warrants, field trips, and minutes of the May 9th meeting. Does anybody have a need to separate those out? Entertain a motion to approve consent agenda A.
So moved.
Second by Aaron, seconded by Tara. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have discussion of subcommittees. I'm going to do that very quickly. I haven't heard from everyone, so I'll be reaching out to you. I did hear from several people about a committee they'd be interested in. And also Georgette reminded me that we had a facilities committee last year, and we didn't put that on the list this year. So if you're interested in the facilities committee, working with the towns, working with the facilities, especially since we have some renovation projects coming up, you can let me know that you're interested in doing that as well. That's it.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Reggio. Under my report, the first item is a reappointment of a representative to the Bi-County Collaborative Board of Directors. That is typically and almost unanimously the superintendent, because no one else really wants to do it. But we meet once a month to oversee the operation of the collaborative and all of its workings. We do benefit from our relationship there, obviously, because we can have some of our students' needs met more efficiently by enrolling in the collaborative. And we also do have the collaborative renting space from us for 3 different programs. So the motion before you would simply be as read in the packet to appoint me as superintendent of the BMRSD to the collaborative board of directors for the upcoming 17-18 school year.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Wendy, is there a second? Second by Karen. Motion is to appoint Mr. Alan Himmelberger, Superintendent of the Blackstone Millville Regional School District, to the Bi-County Collaborative Board of Directors for the 2017-2018 school year. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Yay.
Thank you very much. Moving on, as many remember, at the last meeting, we had our elementary principals report on improvement plans, handbook changes, and summer reading and summer math. This evening, as schedules permit, both Mr. Cameron and Mr. Dudek are here to present to the committee their respective schools' end-of-year improvement plans, handbook changes, and summer reading and math. And Mr. Dudek also will report on the NEASC update from our last accreditation visit. So I would like to call both Mr. Cameron and Mr. Dudek up to present to the committee.
Good evening.
Good
Welcome.
evening.
Welcome, new school committee members. We have a few, so
Thank you.
thanks for serving on the Blackstone Millville School Committee. I also just want to quickly thank the middle school and the PTO for their generous donation. We've been talking about 3D printer in our manufacturing and robotics engineering courses, and Ursula Hunt, our library media communication specialist, is really excited about doing something in addition to a makerspace that we've informally introduced and will continue to do for next year. So, not sure how we'd like to do this presentation. There's a lot going on. I have about 4 different things to present to you, and I believe Mr. Cameron does as well. So, however you'd like us to begin.
However you feel you can present your materials adequately and still make your video.
Beautiful.
I can do mine in under 5 minutes.
I could do mine in 4.
Oh, he's
But
so
you're
competitive
3.
with me.
All right.
All right.
You want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
They will miss each other.
And I really believe the reason why we can kind of do this in a quick fashion is because for both the middle school handbook proposed changes and the school improvement plan, there's really subtle changes in both. So let's start with the revision of the proposed revision of the middle school student handbook. Again, these are so subtle that, you know, had Mr. Himmelberger shared with me that, you know, you guys approve this on your own, I would have kind of understood that as well. So page 1, we're just looking to put in a master schedule that has worked very well for the needs of the middle school for reaching those students in need of enrichment and both intervention. It's a master schedule that we put in a couple years ago. We just want to put it right there in the handbook. On page 2 is just a subtle change in students who fail to serve a teacher detention or an office detention. We have put forth a proposal that detention is now doubled. The red that you see to the right of the cell phones is just really aligns to where we've been as a school in allowing students to come in, listening to their music during that time before homeroom starts. I'm sorry, I'm back to page 1. I skipped over something. So there is a formula that we're asking students next year to follow. With the increased choices that we've had at the middle school and opening up some electives opposite study and opposite the music program, we've had some students who have been a little quick in trying to walk away from a class saying, you know, I'd rather have a study or something like that, especially the times where they feel that a class or even the music program might be too challenging. So we're looking to put forth a formal process that involves a parent conversation, signatures from, you know, that teacher that they're looking to leave, signatures from the principal, guidance, parents, and just, you know, sharing a message of grit. And if you're looking to walk away because it's getting hard, that's the point we want to capture you and try to keep you where you are. Other than that, beyond page 2 is really, I believe, all policies that you have already approved. Concussion policies, audio and videotaping of team meetings. The biggest work on this handbook was moving the index to the front of the handbook and changing the pages of where a lot of the policies lie. And it took me, my goodness, about 4 to 5 hours just searching for a lot of the keywords things like, drugs and alcohol and things like that, because they were all over our handbook. And I just wanted to try to do a better job of having that index, which is now in the front of the handbook, to be a resource for the reader of the handbook. Any questions about the handbook?
Did you add the meal, the lunch policy?
I have to be honest, I don't know if that is in here, but again, that's just another copy and paste of something that I believe this committee has already approved, right?
Yes.
So we
Yes.
just have to get it in
Yes.
our handbook.
Yes.
I think that's really important to make sure it's in each of the handbooks so that it can be referred to.
I think that it is. I mean, I know it'll be in our policy manual. I know it's in the school lunch, food and nutrition, but I think it's important because it does, even though we're saying we don't want anybody to not have lunch, we're also saying if you have a past due bill, there are some things that can happen to you. And so, I don't want anybody surprised that I didn't know I couldn't get my report card without
Right.
I had to do bill.
Right.
So we'll get it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, moving on to the draft of the 2017-2018 school improvement plan. Really, each goal has just been kind of brought to the next level, if you will. And I think that is a nice way for a new principal to transition in, because every goal that you read on this school improvement plan has some really nice momentum to it. Would you like me to go through each one?
I just have one question.
Yep.
Are we implementing the big ideas math in sixth
It's already in 6.
or seventh?
Yep, so next year, as it reads on page, there is no page numbers, but that first page is implementing it in 7th grade.
Okay.
And then the following year will be an implementation in 8th grade.
So your question, is it still in the budget?
Yeah, that was my question.
I would like
believe
to
it
know
is.
that answer too.
It
I
is-
don't remember.
It is still from where we left it. We don't know
Yep.
what changes we'll have to make as final budgets, but it still is now.
I met with the math teachers today about this. So this is a living document that's already been shared out to my teachers, and this, the middle school council has approved it as well. And they realize where we are budgetary-wise. So, their question that I asked Dr. Thompson just this evening was, if indeed that order is going to be made, when would the new books arrive? So we're prepared for them if they do arrive. If they are cut, then the teachers will recognize that as well.
Okay. I have one more question. Is there any successes, I mean, obviously there is, from the school improvement plan this year that you can share with us? And is there anything that is captured from this year's school improvement plan that kind of went into the next year's or this upcoming year that's still a work in progress?
Almost every goal is a next step of something that's going very well here. And I think the teachers here and the assistant principal and I can take a lot of pride in that. PBIS, I think, is a good example of how well that goal is going here, but how much we think we can support the other schools in the district. The only goal on here that is still kind of in implementation process is the implement common sense digital citizenship in this building in grade 7. But the school council really had a laser-like focus on that goal this year, which was to just explore a curriculum and choose a curriculum. And my goodness, if you know anything about common sense digital citizenship, and Bill Chaplin is the one who shared this resource with me, it's a tremendous amount of materials and resources to unpack. And it took both Sue Chase, who's kind of the parent, playing the parent role, to implement it next year, and Stephanie Abisla, who is an 8th grade science teacher. It took them a while to unpack it this year. So the implementation period is going to be next year. I guess staying on the same page, the other goal that's kind of in year 1.5 is, as I shared earlier, the makerspace goal as well. The rest of these goals, I do believe, read, year 2, year 3, continue in its success and provide a model for other schools in the district. The common sense media, and the PBIS being two examples of that, of how we think as a middle school we can just support the superintendent of schools and the other principals in the schools with those goals, because I believe both PBIS and digital citizenship are both on the district improvement plan and will continue to be so.
It's the plan.
And may I?
Yes, you may.
And I just wanted to point out also that on this school improvement plan is the continue to revise and implement the science curriculum, which is also one of those things that has to be funded in order to meet those requirements. So,
If I could jump in there, Madam Chair. Yeah, the middle school started scoping out the new science standards last year, and they've done a fine job of that. The problem the middle school has is they do not have materials to support that map. And just a quick follow-up to Mr. Cameron's, and I'll get more into this next week. You know, the Big Ideas Math, these are the same kids who started with Envisions Math in 8th grade, so they've started with Big Ideas Math. The hope is to bring in, and the plan is to bring in the 7th grade program. We're going to bring in the advanced textbook for all students, do a placement piece there, give enough time and wiggle room in that first month or so to make adjustments if needed, but to have kids be challenged earlier in math. Hopefully, eventually, we'll see 2/3 of our kids taking the more advanced option. The only difference will be the pace at what they do that book. Some kids will take 2 years to do it or a year and a half to do it. Other kids will finish that in a year. But we're trying, again, to up the rigor in our math program. These students have had kind of a difficult task jumping in 5th grade, but they've done a fine job, and the teachers here have done a fantastic job with them in 6th grade. So we look to continue that.
So is there two different books? Is there like a basic and an advanced book? Is that what it is?
Yeah, there is. But, you know, the problem is, basically, you know, we met in the fall, did a lot of our training in the fall, and spoke with the trainer, and she recommended everybody using the same book in grade 7. It's just how much the pace at which you go through. That way, if you have a kid that maybe things are starting to click and they're starting to speed up, you know, you can make a switch.
That's good to hear that there's an opportunity to be challenged, because I know we do a lot
and
of
we will get into some sort of placement process and some sort of testing along with teacher recommendations and scores, and that's some sort of rubric to make those decisions. We might not, or they might not actually get to that in September, which is an option as well, because it is kind of one of those growing, moving targets. But the idea is to have most of our kids doing that advanced program in 7th grade, so they're coming into the high school with a much higher level of math.
Great, thank you.
and I would just ask that would be also a cost savings when you're not buying 2 sets of textbooks as well.
Yes, it would, because you'd have to have extra for movement and all that. The following year, you're still going to have to replace some of those advanced 7th grade books, because some kids will still be using them in 8th grade. Okay. And it doesn't say grade 7 on it. It just says, you know, math, you know, advanced, you know, and it's basically a pre-algebra, algebra mix. The advanced book gets into algebra and some geometry as well.
Okay, thank you.
Coming from that math meeting this morning, I just want to share with the committee that the teachers just want to put forth the importance of the commitment of the online portal being available to them. And, Dr. Thompson would know better, but I feel like any purchase of textbooks nowadays, that's, something that always comes with it. But that portal is something that they use to support the learning, so much so that a lot of these books don't need to go home anymore. The homework that is given from the book is just simply log in to, this book's site, component site of, chapter 12 or whatever chapter they're on. So if there is an extra fee, and again, I don't know if there is or not, the importance of that.
Yeah, the publishers quickly gained insight to the fact that schools were buying in-school books and having kids work online because that was less expensive, and they basically got rid of that, so it's one price for both. So they quickly closed that loop about 8 years ago. So you're not gonna. So yes, you buy it, you get both.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We do need to have a motion to approve the handbook changes with the addition of the meal policy.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Wendy, seconded by Tammy. Motion to approve the handbook revisions with the addition of the meal policy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Any further questions on the school improvement plan? Okay, just very, my last presentation is just, we are in, I believe, our 4th year of our summer community reading project. That, again, the PTO is supporting for all middle school staff and students. Our One Book, One School is entitled The Seventh Most Important Thing, written by Shelley Pearsall, who Shelley is also is already connected with Mrs. Tasker, the library para here in the building, and she is already committed to either an in-school visit with our students next fall or some sort of Skype component to all the ELA and reading classes. We're asking all of our students for, again, a 3rd or 4th year to just come into a Google Classroom that will be all of our students. So all of the incoming 6th, all of the incoming 7th, all of the incoming 8th. And we will have about 5 weeks worth of questions and different activities they can do with the book that they're asked to read. And the release of those questions and activities come weekly. Our summer math is just a further commitment through Mrs. Swanson, who is volunteering herself to lead the assessments, the online work that we're asking our students to do, again, weekly through the assessment sites and through the cooperation of WPI as well. But I want to publicly acknowledge and thank Mrs. Swanson for picking that piece up and for being the person that, again, supports those students logging into assessments over the summer to support and hopefully stop any regression in math.
And the 6th grade students are trained in that, or the incoming?
Yep, so we had that discussion with the 5th grade. Last year during 5th grade step-up day, we actually had a big orientation and such. But there's a lot that's been done in the 5th grade, even from STARS. We didn't have to have them take STARS up here, through assessments, and they received their copy of the 7th most important thing yesterday.
And Mr. Cameron, can I just confirm, so you say the questions are released weekly. If a family is on vacation, what happens?
They can, so there's no kind of checks and balances to whether or not they're doing it weekly.
Okay.
You know, some parents and some students, if they want to do it all in week 6. And, you know,
week 1.
What's that?
Or week 1.
Or week 1, sure. You know, and it's not every single week of the summer as well. We want to recognize those families who, you know, we won't start releasing anything till after the 4th of July. And I think we stop right there the 2nd week of August.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Cameron? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So just to keep myself organized, I will start with the student handbook changes, then I'll do the school improvement plan, summer math, and then I'll finish with the NEASC accreditation and where we are with that. So I'm hoping that you have all 13 pages of the revision for high school handbook changes. Just a few major pieces or themes that I'd like to go over, and I'll answer any questions about the handbook. The first one is our master schedule. We spent some time with our staff and our students, along with the union, to approve of a, quote, prep break at the end of first period. So for 20 minutes a day, every day, students will have an opportunity to do various things throughout the building. The goal would be to utilize that time for anything from extra help to grabbing breakfast in the morning, to getting extra work in from teachers, to making up a quiz, to playing chess with the principal of the high school, to whatever we're looking to do. That's something that came up in the last couple months with us. There's a few neighboring districts that have a, quote, prep period or a flex period. And it seems like it works in various districts. And it's something that we've piloted for the last couple Wednesdays. It's not a true prep break period for us, But what we did this year, I believe we had 2 Wednesdays, rather than going to a formal advisory program or period, students were given free reign of the building, and on Wednesday, I think tripled our breakfast program. We had students going down to the library. Next Wednesday, our AP coordinator, Christine Renz, will be working with our sophomores and juniors that are enrolled in AP and working with them on what AP is for next year. Our guidance staff is looking at mini workshops for kids that they can do together in the auditorium. So that is going to be something that I'm looking forward to build a rapport with students in an organic way, and not really have that excuse that I can't stay after school today because I have to take the bus because we don't have any after-school buses. So that was the major piece with the revision, along with our credits and weighing of courses and class rank. What we found in the last couple of years, speaking with college admissions counselors, is the CP, Advanced, Honors, and AP track that we had. They were confused with what advanced classes were. So we changed it to CP, Honors, Pre-AP, and AP. So the Pre-AP is that track for students that are freshmen getting into a Pre-AP bio class or Pre-AP Algebra 2 to get or move along into an AP track. And that Honors, CP to Honors, will clarify what we considered advanced at one point. Moving along with that, I think, there's just some tweaks to wording. There was some clarity in terms of bathroom and lavatory use, food and beverage, school dances, personal electronic devices. This year we piloted allowing students to be able to utilize their phones or electronic devices on their own time. At one point, it was students only had availability of using their cell phone during lunch. Now we allow them to do that between classes, in study halls, in the library, and for the most part, students have been practicing personal responsibility in that, and we will continue to do so with that. Senior privileges, we just have to change the times because of our 20-minute period. We're squeezing in about 5 more minutes in our school day, and we're replacing homeroom by just starting with first period. So that homeroom that we started at 7:35 to 7:39 is no longer there. We're just going right to first period at 7:35 to get that 20-minute period.
So time on learning didn't change?
So time on learning did not change.
Including when you take that prep break?
I don't believe it changed because what I did was tweak a few of the minutes between transitions. So our lunch transitions that were typically 3 minutes are now 2. We took away, I believe, 6 minutes in the morning from homeroom to passing time. And there was a few classes that were, I believe, 46 minutes, and we changed to 47, or 47, and we changed to 46. In speaking with other districts about, quote, time on learning, they've used that support period as a time on learning and using it as personal responsibility, meeting with teachers. Now, again, I know not all students will be doing that, but when we talk about time management and we talk about flexibility and utilizing the time within the school day, if students are doing that, then we're going to consider that time on learning.
And just to clarify for anyone who's concerned watching at home, the high school is well over the minimum time on learning requirement. So even with the tweaks, Mr. Dudek has tracked it, and we will still be well over. Even
when students have study hall, senior priv, and then this
correct
prep break, they're still good?
Senior priv actually falls during study halls, so what that is if you have a study hall in the morning or afternoon, you just leave or don't come in for that period. So if you have them both, it's one thing with the time on learning.
Thank you, Jack. May I just, and I spoke to Alan, and I've actually asked Mr. Dudek about this as well. My concern with this prep break period, I agree that it provides students the opportunity to seek help, I'm not sure what happens when the teacher is seeing it as a prep and is copying, but my student needs help. So I'm concerned on how that works out if a student is asking for teacher help, but that teacher feels that it's their prep. As a teacher, prep is a whole nother ballgame. The other thing I'm concerned about is there is no attendance being taken there. So these students are unaccounted for if there were ever some emergency. That makes me very nervous. No one has taken attendance for that period. And so if you had a safety where you have to evacuate, who's going to find out where my daughter is? That is a very big concern.
But the teachers would still have their prep outside of this 20-minute.
So this is an additional prep for teachers.
Well,
I wouldn't consider it a prep.
No.
I would consider it an opportunity for
Call it something
teachers
else
to
then.
meet with students formally or informally. I mean, to your point, I think the first question, we did ask our teachers, and they are agreeable to this, that they would have 1 day a week that they would consider so essentially an after-school session within the prep period. So our math department would take Mondays, and so all of our math teachers would be in their classrooms so that students would know that. English would do the same. All of our departments would find a day that they would utilize within that 20 minutes. I mean, our goal and hope is that if students are looking for help from a teacher and they find them well in advance, that teacher would stay and work with that student one-on-one or in a small group. The second point, and this is something that, sure, we'll have to go and do a little more research on about what other schools are doing, but the conversation centered around if we are in a lockdown or if we are having a fire drill, that students would go to their designated teacher the period before. So first period, let's just say it's Honors English 2 with Miss A, that's where those students would go if they had to go outside or find that teacher in the classroom.
So, I hate to so if there is a drastic situation where you're talking about evacuation due to a school shooter, you want them to go back through the building, find their last teacher, and that scares me. So I'll just put that on record, and I don't know how it works out, but I'm not sure that that's a great plan.
I have a question.
I'm envisioning, and I have no idea how it would work, but I know lockdowns are practiced, correct?
Correct.
I mean, they're practiced, fire drills are practiced, so I would say you could probably practice what to do during that 20-minute time, because you're right, if I'm in the library and there's a lockdown, I hope I know to hide in the library and not go back and find that teacher. But you're right, then they would still be unaccounted for.
Right. So at the high school I teach at, we have cards, and we have our rosters with us during an evacuation, and we make sure all of our students are there. If someone's missing, we report it to the principal. I don't know how anything like that happens. I mean, obviously a drill is going to work itself out because it's a drill. But there are schools that don't have drills, and I'm very concerned about that. So, just for the record.
Can I?
Go ahead, yeah.
How is this going to be introduced to the kids? I know you're doing, so you said you're starting at Wednesdays this year, so you have incoming freshmen. They're going to start day one with 20 minutes, because it's always in the morning, correct? It's always breakfast into.
So our first period starts at 7:35.
Is my child going to think school starts at 7:35? Because that's going to be a big problem in my house. So the doors open at 7.
Correct.
And they're accountable at 7:35.
Yeah.
Correct. And first period, so rather than doing first homeroom attendance, they would be going to their first period
And
class.
attendance is going to be done in the first period?
Correct. Yes.
And if they're tardy, they're reported.
And that was the other piece with homeroom. I think, again, I try to look at what's the value behind everything that we do. And homeroom to me wasn't of value to a lot of our parents, community members, and students. Students felt that they did not need to be in homeroom, so if they were tardy for homeroom, it, quote, wasn't a big deal because they weren't really missing anything other than knowing what lunch was. Having attendance, we also did Pledge of Allegiance and morning announcements. So that would happen in first period. So if students were late for school, they'd be missing first period, calculus or English or whatever that would be.
So on the first day, it's going to be introduced to the freshmen.
The first day is an entirely different schedule.
Yeah.
We don't go into a rotating schedule, first period, first day. We spend approximately 30 minutes in the auditorium where there's a presentation by myself. We talk about summer reading, we talk about themes, we talk about handbook. They go to, what we'll have to do is we'll have a quote designated homeroom for each student for the first week of school to be able to get out any paperwork that we need to. And then we would most likely after the first week get into that flex period going to first. So the first couple days is really an orientation and transition to meeting teachers, understanding what the rules, regulations, policies are, and understanding what the building is. So they'll have a great orientation on all of that, along with knowing what that 20-minute flex period is. Because for some, they may look at it as, this is a great time for me to just walk around the building, or it's a great opportunity for me to go and find my math teacher because I can't do it after school, and I need that help.
Can they leave the building?
No.
But if it's I'm still trying to see this as a teacher perspective. If my day, let's say your subject area is Monday, and my day was Monday to be in my classroom, what if a child is looking for math child is looking for a teacher on Thursday during that 20 minutes, but their designated day was Monday?
Well, we would like to designate one day so that all parents know that if your son or daughter needs help, there is one designated day that all math teachers are going to be in their room. Now, if they need additional help, all they need to do is ask the teacher. I mean, that's what we do after school. I mean, all of our teachers are there till 2:15. They need to stay by contract till 2:30 if a student walks into their door. So that would continue. I don't think you would see teachers just jet out right at the end of the day or not want to see students.
I was more thinking of agreeing with Tammy is you have a teacher in their room on the side and they're working with students, and then maybe that other teacher doesn't have students. That's that whole prep conversation of what are they doing constructively during that time. It worries me that it's a fine line. It's that gray area.
So I think maybe not calling it a prep period, maybe the flex period is probably a better title, so that people aren't thinking that it's prep time. And I don't know, I think it'd be nice if the teachers were always all available.
I agree.
Or
maybe the kids have to go to something too, they can't just be in the
Hang out
hallway.
in the hallway. Right.
Communication, it sounds like, I honestly like the idea. It sounds like they're going to have a lot of flexibility, giving them more responsibility with using their time. But I think communicating or having a way to let the teacher know the day before that they're going to see them in the morning, that way that teacher knows to be expecting them. But I think that stuff is going to have to work itself out as the weeks progress. But
if I, Madam Chair, I mean, if you look at the schedule and you've got a homeroom time that is dead time, this is actually taking this time and putting it in a spot where students can use it for multiple things. So instead of just having kids sit around doing nothing for 10 or 15 minutes, you're giving them the opportunity to do something. You're asking them to be responsible, mature, and make good choices. And obviously, anytime you bring out something new, there's tweaks and fixes. I think your handbook represents that. As far as a lockdown goes, there's kids in the hallway all the time, so you don't know if a kid is elsewhere. And if every day at lunch, I have a lockdown during lunch.
But not the whole school at the same time.
Right.
So what I was familiar with is that you check in sort of like homeroom. You have a place, you take attendance, and then you get a pass to whatever teacher you want help with. And so that way they're accounted for in all situations.
Right, but I think in this time frame of 15 minutes, 20 minutes?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. by the time you do that, you lose half the time to really, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And again, I think, you know, there's many reasons why we're looking at this flex period, but one specifically is when you have seniors that graduate and go into the real world, there's a lot of, quote, flexibility and free time. And a lot of our students struggle with knowing and understanding what to do with that time. There's no structure. There's no bells. There's no parents waking them up in the morning. And we're looking to implement some opportunities for them to be, quote, free in the school and make right choices. And you know, a lot of our staff were asking similar questions. What are our kids doing in the hallways? Where are they going? And I think from an administrative standpoint, it'll give us a great opportunity, or have a great opportunity to be able to be out in the hallways more and understand where students are going, and allowing kids to be able to go to the main office and drop off a permission slip and not do it during English class, and using that time to be able to get the everyday routines down, and not waste class time. Or dismiss themselves from that, because that does happen. But again, I think, you know, understanding that free, flexible time and using it for, you know, whether we're talking about time management or personal responsibility, that's something that we're going to definitely look at. So, in terms of any other handbook changes, I mean, if there's anything in there that you're seeing, I mean, we obviously added the technology one-to-one policy. There was something about video audio taping. I think the food and beverage policy, I believe we put it in the handbook, but we didn't put it in the revision. And I need to double check that, because that was a last minute add.
And
that was approved.
somebody asked me for it, and I know we sent it, so.
So I believe we have it. I think it is in the handbook, but it didn't make the quote revision page.
I have a question on cell phone use. So could they use a cell phone in the class previously?
With teacher permission.
Okay, but now they can't use it at all?
Well, they can with teacher permission.
Teacher permission.
Yeah.
And
But now they could use it out in the hallways between transition times, and they weren't allowed to do that.
And can you take away someone's phone?
We could.
Okay.
And we've confiscated phones.
Yeah.
It becomes a distraction towards the learning environment, and we ask.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, and we ask parents to come in to pick those up, and hope that parents follow policies and have a conversation with students about cell phones. Yeah, but that doesn't have. I mean, that's a drastic piece that, you know, it's the third or fourth time that we've gotten a cell phone, and we've looked at disciplinary measures, and that seems to not work. We would ask that parents come in, and some of our parents are more than happy to have Mr. Ducharme hold on to it for 2 weeks. I mean, it gives them a break and maybe some personal one-on-one time with their son or daughter during dinner time. So, but that's
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah.
I just have one that it's not, there was a study this year in 8th grade for gum chewing. How did that, I'm just curious how that works. Because in so now at BMR, it's strictly for, so the kids in 8th grade are going to go into high school, just so you know. They were allowed to chew gum
No,
this
that
year.
paragraph is removed, isn't it?
If middle school?
No,
I'm talking about this year.
This is a high school question.
Well, I'd like to know the results of that study.
Oh, the gum chewing conversation just will not end.
How did we make out with the 8th grade privilege?
I think it went well. One man's opinion.
Okay.
But there is a lot of staff. We surveyed the staff in the building and the custodians, you know, who do have to clean it up if they're under. And there was just not an overwhelming support of allowing students in this building to chew gum.
So it's taken out for next year?
The privilege of chewing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it matches the
No, because.
No, high school is allowing
can
gum
chew.
chewing.
High school is allowed to chew now.
Yes,
No chew,
because
chew.
it's deleting the entire paragraph.
The high school handbook at one point had gum chewing not allowed.
Right.
And in my time at the high school, gum chewing has never been an issue. So we reviewed it and said, let's take it out because our kids chew gum and it's not a quote learning distraction. So why have it in there? Now, if it becomes an issue, that'll be something that we look at for next year. I think every year is a pilot year. And, you know, if cell phones become an issue and we have to go and take away cell phone privilege, and that's what, you know, the philosophy is, then that's what we do. But at the high school, gum chewing was never an issue. So why have a quote rule about not chewing gum when we were allowing kids to do it anyways?
Should we just change it to
think-
fidget spinners?
I think
not
they
allowed?
took it out without trying to draw attention to it.
All right.
I think
Not
we're
encouraging
actually,
it, we're just
at the
not
high school, we
gonna
actually treat fidget spinners as cell phones now,
Yeah, they are,
right?
yeah.
Yes.
Right.
That's policy till the end of the year.
Our new policies that we'll be introducing to update our current policies will have provisions that don't allow tobacco gum, so like Nicorette, those kind of stuff. So, is it again, but, or vapors or any of that other, I don't even know what they all are, but it does outline that. So we'll be revisiting.
And we did add vaping in our quote tobacco,
Okay.
alcohol, drug policy because that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
You need a motion?
I do need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, moved by Wendy, seconded by Karen to accept the changes, additions, and deletions to the high school handbook. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I feel like he should pop a piece of gum in his mouth and I should just sit
And start
here
the next one.
looking sad.
Mr. Cameron, if you could duly note that I did not bring it up. I sit on the school council of both high school and middle school before I came to this position, so gum chewing was my thing. It's research-based that gum chewing
Tammy, you're
lends
bringing it
itself to
up.
learning, and so
Tammy.
I only won one battle.
So looking at school improvement plan, you will notice that last year I had a lot of two-year goals. And for the 17-18 school year, I decided just to make one-year goals to extend off of what we're looking to do. I will tell you, and again, our goals that we have at the high school are aligned to the core values that we have. So the big goals or topics that I'd like to just bring up is PBIS. I'll be honest, at the high school, what we were allowed to do or had time to do was have myself and a guidance counselor head over to Manchester, New Hampshire and get a PBIS training and workshop and have a couple workshop meetings with teachers about what we can do better at the high school to improve on the discipline piece. Other than that, we haven't done a whole lot with PBIS. One, because we've been working on our one-to-one. That's been on our plates, and we've had freshmen and sophomores with those Chromebooks, and quite honestly, that's where a lot of my time and energy and resources have been put into. Along with the improvement plan, the UBD template with stage 1, we are complete with stage 1. We're looking at 2 and 3 and extending off of that. And the big piece that actually Justin and I, or Mr. Cameron and I, spoke about this past year is looking at what teaching and learning looks like, what good teaching, teaching and learning looks like, and coming up with common benchmarks of what we would like to see with teachers in the classrooms. So that is also in your school improvement plan for the high school. In addition, what I'd like to do, if we have an opportunity to do that, is to be able to extend authentic learning opportunities for our kids. So I'd like to be able to do a senior fourth quarter internship opportunity. So I have a colleague at Sutton High School that's done that for, I think, the last 3 years. And he started off with 10 students that were seniors and went out. And rather than coming into school for fourth quarter, Their fourth quarter was 30 hours of an internship experience somewhere out in the valley. That's something that I would like to be able to explore with our seniors, and when throwing that out there to our at the school council and the principal council, they were extremely excited about that opportunity. The challenge that I'm going to see is having internships. I don't want to just throw that out to our kids and say, go find an internship. Again, I need to find something that's going to be of quality, and that we have an ability to be able to speak with somebody on the other side to talk about what the roles and responsibilities are. So my goal this summer and early fall is to find plenty of internship opportunities for students so that they can have choice going on in the fourth quarter. So those to me were the big themes of the school improvement plan. As well as looking at our NEASC report, that is something that's going to be with us for the next 10 years, and that'll be the end of my presentation in terms of updating and notifying the NEASC accreditation team about where we are as a school, specifically at the high school.
Any questions?
I am curious to see what PBIS looks like at the high school.
High school?
Yeah. Other than the disciplinary part, like what is that? What's the vision of that? I'm interested.
Mm-hmm.
I look forward to hearing
and there
that.
are neighboring districts that are K-12, and that would be something of focus for us. I mean, I don't, with all due respect, I don't want to go to a middle school and look at what PBIS looks there, looks
very
like
different.
there, because it's going to be completely different.
Absolutely.
And the culture is going to be different. And I think, seeing this our wave of students going from elementary to middle school to the high school, being experienced or having that experience in that model of PBIS, I'm hopeful that they'd be able to give us some ideas and suggestions on what that would look like as well.
Feel free to join Cumberland High School for the day. So I'm at a PBIS school as well, so. It's called Rockstar Parking. That is the best PBIS reward for high school people. Getting to park where teachers park instead of walking further away.
He's writing it down.
Good idea. Anything else?
Yep.
We have a bunch of things. I'll send you our list.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay.
School improvement? No? Okay. So the next piece is the evolution of summer reading, math. So our website looks a little different on this, but what I was able to do, again, being reflective over the summer, we have several people that call and want to know what summer reading is, what are the themes, what are the questions, what are the expectations. If you go to the BMR high school site, there is a list of tables on the left, and there is a Weebly site that I was able to create that has our one school, one theme summer reading assignments. It has all of our AP assignments along with access codes to Google Classroom, and we also have our math assignments on there. So when we talk about the evolution of summer reading, 3 years ago we had our we had our one school, one book. That turned into a one school, one theme. And right now we're in the process of voting on, it's going to still be a one school, one theme, but students will have the option of 3 reading choices for that theme. So the first theme that we looked at, and this was voted on by our staff, is Out of This World. So we're looking at a lot of sci-fi and fantasy. And those 3 books that we have for options are the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Dragon's Dawn, and The Fifth Wave. Can't tell you that I read any of those, but that is the fantasy sci-fi option with, so a sample essential question is, how is imagination important to the human experience? And if you go and explore that site, I'm already assuming what our theme will be. It may be different, but the next theme that we had on the plate was what makes me me, and looking at identity. And we have Mitch Albom's The Magic Strings of Frankie Presto, The Color of Water, and Wes Moore is The Other Wes Moore, One Name, Two Fates. And an essential question, how does adversity affect human strength and resiliency? Speaking with students and not doing the formal vote yet, the identity theme seems to be a bigger hit right now, but we just today got footage or received footage on the books, the themes, and we will be putting that out there in a video and asking staff and students to vote on what theme and what books they're looking to do. That first year, we chose the book, the staff did. And students came back and said, well, you know, honestly, we'll have a little more buy-in if we can have that option. And we added to that by giving them 3 books that they can choose from, and our English department is okay with that because they'll be the ones truly assessing the students on that. But we will also be doing some workshops in mid-September, identifying the themes and the books and the characters in that. And we did, last year we had the 80s theme, and I thought that was a phenomenal day for our kids and as well as our staff. You know, we had different workshops on tie-dye, t-shirts. I did something on anime. We had various Socratic Circle lectures going on, and we're looking to do the same thing with the One School, One Theme. So we don't have the theme. We don't have the 3 set books yet. That will be coming, but I did provide you with the 2 themes that students will be voting on. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the incoming freshmen, so the 8th graders, they get the information by going on the site, or do they?
So
get
they'll be getting the information on the site. I will be providing Mr. Cameron the information that he can send out to parents. And prior to the end of the school year, we are looking to have our department head in math and English come in and walk students through what are the expectations for the One School, One Theme and math summer assignments. But they will be readily available on that site. And if someone calls, Linda Salome will know where to direct people to, along with physical copies if people need that, along with people that transfer in. And that's been something that we've had to look at. And everything will be on Google Classroom. And I am comfortable to say that most of our students are pretty comfortable with that and submitting coursework and assignments that way. Looking at the math series, last year we did IXL. We had IXL program that several of our teachers decided to do. We are going along with the middle school and using assessments for all of our classes, and students will have 5 major components or assessments posted to Google Classroom, and Mr. Rowe will be coming into the middle school to talk that out with our 8th grade students so that they know what the codes are, how to access Google Classroom, and we'll be able to post that onto Google Classroom and not specifically to assessments, so that there's only one sign-in, sign-out process behind that. We also have a Khan Academy that we have linked to that to help students throughout the summer, because as you know, math is a little different than what we experienced probably about 10 years ago when we were all in high school. So that was a joke. So that is the math series, and then along with that we have our AP, and we have, I believe there's 9 AP courses, and all 9 AP courses have a summer assignment attached to that. And I asked our teachers to provide that for me, so that it's posted on the website as well. So it's all in one resource, which will help out tremendously our administrative staff in the building that are asked those questions. So that's summer.
Any questions? Get working.
Okay. The last piece, I believe, and I did 3, right? So the last piece is our NEAS accreditation process. As you know, I needed to address a few components with a special progress report that I put together on October 4th. You see what those major pieces were. So looking at, I believe there are 4 that I addressed. So actually there's 3. The first one was develop and implement a plan to provide dependable funding for a wide range of programs and services, sufficient professional and support staff, ongoing professional development, and curriculum revision. I did state that there is a lack of dependable funding provided by the communities, and that's currently being addressed by the school committee and superintendent. So that is really up in the air with what we're doing and where we're going. And I was pretty honest and direct with the committee in terms of what that looked like. The second piece that they really wanted us to do was hire a certified library media specialist. And I can tell you that with Ursula Hunt, she's duly certified as an integrated technology specialist along with a high school librarian. So that was an easy fix or easy solution to a problem that we had. The third one was develop, fund, implement a long-term plan to address technology needs, infrastructure, equipment, PD, and technology integration. I did talk about the one-to-one and our wireless project that we had through E-rate grants and so forth, and some of the PD that our staff have been doing with Google Summit. And then finally, the last one is looking at concerns about the school building, privacy for classes, temperature regulation, ADA compliance, and through our NEASC or NESDEC site visit, Mr. Himmelberger, that's on him, and he's taking care of that, and we're moving in the right direction for that one. So with that in mind, I did receive on May 3rd, 2017, that they did, so they were pleased with some of the issues that we were looking at. I'm trying to read this.
Remove the school
You're staying
from
on
warning.
So we are on warning with community resources, but we were taken off, quote, warning for school resources with the amount of PD, the one-to-one, the supplies and textbooks and technology that we were able to provide the high school staff. So that is something that I wanted to just bring to your attention. The positive is that we've moved in a positive direction. We were taken off one of those standards. However, the big piece is looking at the community and supporting our districts, not just the high school, but the district. So that was the last piece, and I will have to finalize another progress report, I believe in October next year, academic year.
Any questions on this?
May I comment?
Yes, you may.
So I just wanted to, again, clarify that the BMR High School is still on warning for the standard for accreditation on community resources for learning. And some of the positives that they talk about are the fact that we went to one-to-one Chromebooks and that we, continue that process. So again, this is a specific item that I spoke to at town meeting on Tuesday, in that we need to continue, we hope to continue moving forward on these things that NEASC is saying yay, because we do want to get us off warning of all things in the near future.
Correct. I think that's a point well taken. One-to-one to me in the rollout was that we were going to be 9 through 12.
Right.
And moving the middle school in that right direction. If we do not have Chromebook support in the high school, I see classrooms where you have some students with Chromebooks and others don't. We don't have a team grade specific classroom. You have sophomores and juniors together. You have juniors and seniors together. You have sophomores and seniors together in AP and electives. And that to me would create an inequality that I'm not sure how I would address. So that to me would be, if I could be honest, non-negotiable. We might as well just go back to Chromebook carts and have students loan them out, or have teachers do that and not roll out an integration plan that to me is beneficial for the teaching and learning of all students and staff. Thank you for that.
I agree.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
Well, I formally invite all of you to the awards banquet, and I will see Mr. Keefe there, I hope, and they get you out early enough. He does have a vital role of walking in with this class. So thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you both.
Thank you.
You've been, I mean, we'll address this at our next meeting, but you two have been a great team, and so thank you both for these efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for me.
That's it for you. Dave? I know you're not on here.
That's,
but-
nope, not on here. I will
Okay.
save my comments for
Okay.
next time.
School committee forum, Tammy?
Me first. So I just want to formally thank the BMR Chargers Football Boosters Club. They allowed the high school track team as well as the middle school track team to utilize their RV that's out on the track for the concession stand for track this season. As the person who runs the concession stand during this awfully rainy track season, I personally loved it and am very thankful for them. And I wanted to thank Mr. Cameron for all that he's done. I think he's going to come back again, but I have had the immense pleasure to work with him for 4 years on school council at the middle school level, and he is amazing, and I will miss him terribly. And I wanted to thank all of the supporters of Blackstone voters at this week's town meeting to support the initiatives that we feel are important for our students, and just wanted to say thanks for that.
Wendy?
I will echo what Tammy just said.
I want to point out, Regional Agreement Subcommittee, I requested a meeting be posted for June 15th, 6:30 here at the Middle School Library Media Center. All people interested in joining that are still welcome. I think we only had like 5 or 6 on the first meeting or 2, so that's still open to anyone interested. Will we be looking at this NEASC report, maybe our next meeting or budget workshop when we know what's going on, just to make sure that we're not going to lose any of this based on.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have to have it in our hands when we
Yep.
get any final numbers and the discussions moving forward.
Yeah,
so.
I think. Yeah, that's it.
Karen?
I just want to say congratulations to the class of 2017. Good luck in everything they do, and hopefully they enjoy the next 2 days. And the weather holds out.
The weather holds
and the
out.
weather holds out for tomorrow for you guys.
I echo what Tammy said and what you said.
Jack?
Most of you probably know the way I voted at town meeting, and it was my intention the whole time. I thought that was pretty clear. I didn't have any reservations about that, and I didn't make to address online statements. I didn't make it out of ignorance. I know nobody here would suggest that at all, but to anybody at home who made that suggestion, it was just that I could not do it in good conscience. But I'm confident that moving forward, we'll find a way to work with both towns, and everybody on this committee will do it with the best intentions to get what we need, and do it with the town's assistance and with input from everybody, and create mutual understanding to preserve the district as it stands, because it is a mutual benefit.
I actually have a few questions I was wondering if there's an update on the 2 administrator positions that we had posted.
I will have them for the committee publicly for next week.
Okay, so they're still in process of
progress,
interviews,
yes.
or, okay. And then I had noticed, I think over the weekend, so I didn't want to send an email on the holiday weekend, there was a job posting for a paraprofessional for a projected start date of September. And I'm just curious what the status of that is, considering the cuts we've already had to make here at this table. Why would be posting something for September at this moment?
I'll have to get the exact answer for you, and I can send it to you tomorrow, to the committee.
So my concern with that is any jobs being offered, I mean, it did say projected, or, so I just want to make sure that we're not in the process of hiring positions that we know.
It would not
have
be
to-
for an additional. It would be hopefully internal, if there is the need, if that need continues.
Okay. But it was an external, it was a school spring, so that's not internal, I believe, correct? So I just want to, like I said, I know we've already know what direction our budget was going in, and those positions I'm speaking of have already been talked about within this committee.
Yeah, let me get the exact derivation, and I'll email the committee tomorrow.
I just hope that, like you just said, it would be an internal, I hope that the movement would be allowed from, candidates we'd already have within the building and not a public posting.
Absolutely.
I also just want to I know it's early June, and we moved into the updated contract with Maya. We definitely need to schedule those IAC meetings for the summer that we spoke of with Ken, and speaking of the GIC and such. And I also want to make sure that Mr. Cameron and Dave are invited back to our June 22nd meeting. And I would like to discuss the option of inviting their families to join us.
June 8th won't work.
June 8th won't work.
DC trip.
Yeah.
Mr. Cameron will be at DC with
It's
the
gonna have to
agreed.
be the 22nd.
Dave won't be here the 22nd.
All right, so we'll have to do
have
something
to do them
both nights.
separately.
So actually, I was wondering if we should just do it outside of a meeting, and possibly.
Right. Even though both have rejected any farewell hoopla.
Okay.
We
So
will
we
find-
essentially have to plan a surprise.
We will find a way
Which isn't
to
happening.
Okay.
tastefully recognize them both.
I have one more thing to add, if I may.
You may.
Can I get back in? The MSBA, do we have updates on where we're at with our applications?
I was just thinking about that too.
Got an update at our last meeting, but
If, through the chair, the JFK project, the accelerated repair project, was approved to move forward. The Maloney Elementary in Blackstone and the Millville Elementary ARP accelerated repair projects were not, both of those were not moved forward, primarily due to the large number of applications for those projects. The MSBA moved those requirements to a higher threshold, which both of those did not meet. But the Kennedy project is still moving forward, and the high school core renovation project, we are waiting for the follow-up after that application, which was a couple of months later than the ARPs.
Okay, so still pending.
yes. I would like to thank Casey for being innovative and using his imagination and creating a wonderful space that I think, with Mr. Cameron's help, will thrive and carry on and perhaps move up to the high school and allow opportunity for folks to use their imagination. I echo what Jack said in terms of working with the towns. This budget season is not over. There is still a tremendous amount of work to do, and I hope that I think what the school committee attempted to do was give the voters of each community an opportunity to be heard. And those communities were heard differently, and we have to come together and see where that can take us and how we move this year's budget forward through meetings, additional meetings in Millville and whatever next steps need to happen, but also continue to work, as we said last week, towards the future and how we stop having these community battles and how we have a plan and a long-term budget plan, strategic plan for the towns, for the school, for the communities, and work together. So we are committed to doing that, but we do, for anybody listening, we do have some next steps that we have to take for this budget season because the votes were different in both towns. There are some next steps that we will be taking. Anything else? Anybody else? Okay, we have upcoming meeting on June 8th and June 22nd, and as Tara mentioned, the regional agreement meeting on June 15th, all here in this building. Okay. A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Tara, second?
Second.
Second by Tammy, moved by Tara, second by Tammy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Jack, we did it. See you in a half hour.
Run,
Hi,
Jack,
Jack.
run. Drive carefully, though.
Congratulations, good luck.